Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The Ahkam al-Dain, the rules for the loan in the Hanbali school. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wa salatu wa salam ala Rasul Kareem. ربنا تقبل منا زدنا علما وحكمة وهدى اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد عبدك ورسولك النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما أعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا اللهم آتنا نفوسنا تقواها وزكها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها ومولاها اللهم ارحم شيوخنا أما بعد. All the praises belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything happens by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah made the afterlife, and may Allah's blessing be upon His final prophet and messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that's what the world they follow, and that's what we follow. The good example of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May Allah's blessing be upon him and His peace. Go on the rules for the loan, Ahkamul Dain, in the Hanbali school, and this is an explanation by Ibn Qudama al-Maqdisi. It goes over some of the rules of the loan, basically things of bankruptcy and seizure and things like that, so which is very interesting, inshallah. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on everybody. And just as a important note, that what happens if somebody owes somebody money, then it's encouraged for a person to let it go for the sadaqah, inshallah. Not to be very strict. If they do that, it counts as a sadaqah for the person, as a charity for the person. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give the person no reward for it, for the person they let go of the loan. But anyway, these are the rules that we have on somebody they owe money and they don't pay it back and things like that, inshallah. Okay, Sheikh Omar, you read the first one.
Whoever has a term for a loan should not request it before its term.
Yes. So what happens is people, when they loan the money, the person will say, I'll pay you back after a month, or I'll pay you back after 6 months, or I'll pay you back after a year, I'll pay you back next Tuesday, something like that. So what happens is a person, that's what the Sheikh said, a person should not request it back before that time comes, because then that makes it difficult for the person to pay it back. Okay, so because the loan, you basically have an amount that you have for the loan that you have to pay back, and also the person says when they'll get paid back on it. So that's another issue, and the person should not ask for it, should not request it before the time is up. That's what the Sheikh says, on that. Inshallah. Okay, inshallah, read number two.
And not seize it from the passing of the term.
Yes. So over here you have one of the things called the Hajr, and that's where that's why I made that disclaimer in the beginning. So that's very serious, about that. So a person, they have a term for the loan to pay it back. Let's say a person, they loan somebody money, they said they'll pay it back after a year, and then the year hasn't gone by, and the person is saying that this person is not paying back the loan, so I'm going to go and seize it. I go to the courts and seize it. He talks about that later, what it means by the seizing of it. So you can't do that until the time has elapsed that the person had to pay it back, on the loan. Okay, number three.
It is not dissolved by his bankruptcy.
Yes. So this is what this is talking about. A person, they declare bankruptcy. Bankruptcy means that's it. I don't have any money. And then what happens is they go through other procedures to the debtor, the people that he's owed money to. They take what they can from that person or whatever. The rules they explain it later, what they can. But the person, it doesn't dissolve the loan that he has to pay back. Just because he did the bankruptcy and the people, they took what they could, it doesn't mean that he doesn't have to pay the rest back. He still owes it. He still owes that money. That's a rule for it. Technically, you have the rules over here that talk about that. But anyway, that's the main point of it. Even if a person, they declare bankruptcy and they pay the partial payments to the people, it doesn't mean that they don't have to pay the rest back. That's what the Sheikh is saying here. Okay, and read number four.
Wala bimawt, not dissolved because of death.
Yes, and if a person, if they owe money to somebody and then they die, it doesn't mean that the person loan is forgiven. That's it. No person, they don't have to pay it back. In the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, people, they were going on the battlefield, and the person asked the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what would happen if I go on the battlefield and I'm killed on the battlefield? The Prophet Muhammad says, you get the highest level of the Jannah. No, because you're a shaheed, you're shaheed. And then Angel Jibreel came and told something to Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam called this person back. So the person came back, he said, except if you owe a loan, if you owe a debt, because you're responsible to pay the debt. So even if a person, if they die, they had debts, they're still responsible for it on paying the debt. That's for the most part. So the death, because the person they don't die, it doesn't make the debt canceled out. And again, you have the rules that in the inheritance that a person, when they pass away, the first thing that's paid off is the debts that he owes, and then it's distributed to the inheritors afterwards. So that's another issue that comes up. Okay, Chala, read number 5.
Not dissolved if the inheritance is found or mortgaged.
Yes. So what happens is a person, they might have something and they put it up as a pawn, as a collateral for the loan, and then when the person passes away, then he has to distribute these to in his inheritors. But if something that he put up for the pawn, just because he passed away and he has to give it to inheritors, those things that he put up for the pawn, the mortgage, it doesn't get canceled out. The person that he owes money to, he can take it from the pawn, because that's why the person they put it up is collateral. That means if a person, if they don't pay back the debt, then the person he owes money takes from that collateral from that pawn, and then sells it, and then pays off his debt from it. That's what that says. So if a person they die, if they put something up for a pawn, and they're distributing inheritance, that pawn, it doesn't the debt doesn't get dissolved because of that. The pawn doesn't get dissolved because of that. Okay, Chala, read number 6.
Not dissolved if an agent assumes the responsibility for it.
Yes. So let's say a person they uh, owed some money to somebody. Then another person comes. I'll assure you that this person is going to come and pay you back. That's what the person says. And then what happens is, just because a person he said that, it doesn't mean that the person doesn't owe the money anymore. So the person they said that's what they mean by kafl. They have technical terms there. They have rahin. Rahin means the person they put something up for collateral or mortgage or pawn. That means if they don't pay back the money that they owe, then the person they take from that mortgage or that pawn or that item and sell it to get paid back from it. And the other thing they have is a kafl. Kafl means the other person takes makes sure that says that this person will come and pay it back. I'll vouch for this person, basically, but that's what it means. But like, for example, if you have your brother, for example, right, and your brother wants to borrow some money from somebody, then the other person, then you go and you tell the other person, loan him the money, I'll vouch for him. I'll make sure that he pays it back. That's what it means by kafl. So if a person, they do that, and just because a person vouched for the person doesn't mean that he doesn't owe the money anymore. He still got to pay the money for it. No. That's what they mean by the term kafil. Is that clear on that term? I know it gets technical, but they have technical terms here in the rules here. Okay, let's read number 7.
If one wants to travel, he should pay it off before the trip.
Yes. So let's say a person they owed some money to somebody and they want to make a trip to a faraway land. Back in the old days, when people they used to travel, they used to take so long. Sometimes it would take 6 months to travel to another place, sometimes a year. And the question comes back: is a person going to make it back or not? So that's very much questionable if a person they're going to travel far away. So the thing is, if a person they owe money to somebody, before that person goes and makes that trip, he should make sure that he pays off all his debts, and before he goes on a journey. Because back in the old days, it was a good chance that the person wouldn't come back, and then the person they left and they owed money and then didn't come back. Then what's going to happen, right? So that's why the sheikh he says that to the person, that they should pay off the debts before they go on traveling. Okay, and read number 8.
Or an optional borrow.
Yes. Al-Ghazwa al-Tatawwu. That means Ghazwa, where a person, it's optional for a person to go on that Ghazwa. So the same thing, because it's questionable whether a person is going to make it back or not. This goes on that ghazwa, optional one, then he might get killed in that ghazwa, in that battle, and he's not going to make it back, and how he's going to pay back the people that he owed money for. So before he does that, make sure that you settle the debts first, the things that you owe to everybody, then go on a trip, on a long trip, or on the ghazwa, optional ghazwa, that is, you know. This is that's what that's talking about. Okay, and back in the old days, you had those cases there. You know, the people used to attack the Muslims, and you know, there's a lot of defenses going on back then. So that's what this is talking about back in the old days, inshallah. And you see in the time of Prophet Muhammad, so many times the kuffar, they went to kill Prophet Muhammad and the Muslims, so they had to defend themselves. You know, you see in the story of the seerah. And then afterwards, the same time, you had the defense of the Muslims, what they had to defend themselves, you know, from being attacked. But this one here refers to the ghazwa that's optional, and not the mandatory one. So you have two different types. You know, that's there. Okay, inshallah, let's go to number 9.
The indebtedness prevents.
Yes. So if a person, they're indebted, they owe money to people, then they are prohibited from going on that travel and joining the ghazwa. That prevents him from doing it. And even they say for the Hajj, for example, some of the people, they might give that ruling. The person, they have to go for the Hajj. Sometimes they have to travel a long distance. But if they owe money, then that takes the priority. They have to make sure that they pay the money off first that they owe, then they go to the Hajj. That's like an example for it. So if a person, if they owe the money, then they have to settle that first, then they go on the long travel, or they go on the optional ghazwa. And then number 10, it talks about the exception.
Except if a person can resolve it, by putting up collateral.
Yes, that's what the sheikh, he says. So let's say a person, they owe like $10,000, right? And he wants to go on a trip. And then what happens is he's got to pay that off first. But what he could do is, if he wants to resolve his debt first, let's say he has a house, let's say I'll put this house up as collateral just in case I don't come back, then you have this house as a collateral to pay off the debt that I owe you. Then he can go on the trip afterwards. That's what the sheikh means by that. No? So he resolves it by putting up collateral. No? Yeah, that's how they explain it to ulama karam. Okay, inshallah. So read number 11.
If the debt is in a state of difficulty, repaying it is obligatory to wait.
Yes. But this is mentioned in the Quran. If a person, if they're owed money to, and the person has a hard time paying it back, maybe a person got into difficulties and things like that, the one that he's owed money to, he's got to give him extra time to pay it back. That's something that's required. In kana ala dhu usratin nadiratin ila maysara. It's mentioned in the Quran. If a person, they're in hardship, then the person, they wait until it becomes easy for the person to pay it back. Okay, this is where it gets a little bit, inshallah. So let's go to the next one, number 12.
If one claims insolvency, inability to pay, he swears and is released from immediately paying.
Yes. So this is talking about if a person, they go to the Muslim judge in the town, the person says, this person owes me money and he didn't pay me back. And then the person, he says, I'm in difficulty, I have a hard time paying back. Then what happens is he's given extra time to pay it back. You know, if he claims the insolvency, that he doesn't have the money to pay it back, and then he makes an oath that yes, I don't have any money, I can't pay it back, so I need time to pay it back, and then he's released from paying it back at that exact time. Then the person that he owes money to has to give him more time. That's what he's saying, inshallah. He mentions that first because there's other points after that. That's why he mentions that. Then reading the next one, number 13.
Except if it was known the person had wealth before that, then it is not accepted except with proof.
Yes. So what happens is a person, they might just be like saying all the time to people, oh, I don't have the money to pay it back, but actually he has the money to pay it back. And what happens is the person that he owes money to, he knows that. he knows that he has plenty of money to pay it back, just the person is reluctant to pay it back. Then if the person they swear is, oh, I can't pay it back, and he lies about that, then the person that he owes money to, he said, oh, this person is lying, he has a lot of money, then he's got to show the evidence. Yes, this person has money to pay me back, but he's just swearing without telling the truth. Then he's got to show the proof of if that's the case. And then the judge will look at it. If the person they brought proof that the person had a lot of money to pay it back, just is refusing to pay it back when he has the ability to pay it back, and he's just making up excuses. That's what that's referred to. And the person's got to bring proof of that. Because the person is going to swear, say, "Oh, I can't pay back. I'm in difficulty. I don't have the money." And the person owes money to this person's a liar. He's got a lot of money. He's got this, and the judge's going to say, "No, do you have proof for it?" And he's got to show the proof for it. Okay, so go to number 14.
If he was in a state of easiness, it is necessary to pay back.
Yes. So the judge will look at the situation and say, that yes, you have plenty of funds, you have plenty of money, plenty of things, pay it back. And he should pay it back if he's not in difficulty to pay the loan back. So if he is that, then he's got to pay it back. And it's a hadith from Rasulullah, so I don't know if he mentions that. The hadith says that that a person they should if they owe money to somebody or they have to pay somebody, then they should pay it back immediately, not delay paying it back. Okay, I think he'll mention the hadith later on, perhaps. Okay, let's go to number 15 on the back.
If he refused to pay, he is imprisoned until he pays.
Yes, this is where the sheikh gets serious. This the law that he mentions. So let's say a person they have plenty of money, and he owes people money, but he just refuses to pay him back. Then they go to the court. They say this person owes me money, owes us money. He's not paying us back. Then the judge will say to him, "Say, why aren't you paying back?" Then the person might lie, say, "Oh, I don't have money. I'm in difficulty, this and that." The judge normally speaking would accept that and then give him time to pay it back afterwards. But then the people he's owed money to said this person is a liar. He has a lot of money. It's very easy for him to pay back. He's just refusing to pay back. Then the judge will tell him, you got to pay these people back. Then the person still refuses. And then what happens? Then he's imprisoned. He's put in jail. And then while he's in jail, then he'll change his mind and say, "Oh, I got to get out of jail. I have to pay the people back now. Otherwise, I'm going to stay in jail then." That's what happens. Okay, that's number 15. That's what it says there. Okay, to read number 16.
If his wealth is not sufficient to pay back all the debt, he asks the bankruptcy judge to seize from him what is necessary to respond to them.
Yes. So then the person is in jail. He has a lot of money, but maybe it's not sufficient to pay all his debts back. Then what he can do is he can ask the bankruptcy judge to seize the things from him and pay it back, and then he'll be brought out of the jail, out of the prison. And that's what you have the seizure, the hajr, that's the term that they use. They have bankruptcy and seizure. That's one of the rules they have in the fiqh. And that occurs, like the sheikh said in the beginning, if a person they have difficulty in paying back, then he swears by that, and the judge says, got time to pay it back. But if it's found out that he is capable of paying back, at least some of it, but he's just making up excuses, then he's put in jail, and then after that he's got to pay the people back. But then it's found out that he doesn't have enough to pay all the debts back. Then he can say to the judge, "Okay, just seize what I have and let me out of prison." And then the judge will seize it and distribute it. So then the sheikh talks about how it's distributed to the debtors, the people that he owes money to. Okay, so far so good? Okay, inshallah. Let's go to number 17.
If it is seized from him, his disposal of it is not allowed, and his approval of it is not accepted.
Yes. So then what happens is the bankruptcy judge, he tells him, that he seizes the wealth that he has. Then after that, he can't say, give this to this person, that to that person, that to that person. That's not allowed. And whether he approves of it or not, it's not accepted. it's seized. That's what they mean by seized. That means he doesn't have a control of it anymore. The judge seizes it and gives it to the people he owes money to. He can't. He doesn't have a say on it after that. That's what that's saying over there. That he's not. It's not. His disposal of how he wants to pay back is not allowed. He doesn't have that. The judge has a say on it, and whether he approves to pay back some people or not, he doesn't have a say on it. The judge has a say on it. That's what that's saying. Okay, yeah, that's what it says in number 18 over there. It says the judge.
Pays off his debt.
Yes, so the judge, the bankruptcy judge, he gives all the people that he owes money to the debts that he owes them money to, and usually it might be sufficient, and he just pays them all back. But if it's not sufficient, then the judge has to use a particular procedure on who to prioritize to pay back first or not. And that's what the Sheikh he talks about in the next points. Okay, to read number 19.
He begins by the liabilities of physical harm from his slave.
Yes, it was very interesting. The Sheikh he put this over here. What happens is in the Islamic law, you have what's called the diya. The diya is what's called the blood money. That's what that's referred to. And what that is, if somebody, they physically harm somebody, then they owe that person money. They can do the retribution. The other person, they can give that person the same harm back, or he can pay the retribution, the blood money for it. You know, like for example, somebody they went and attacked somebody, and they made the person blind, for example, blind in one eye. Then the other person, he can demand that back, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, ear for ear. So I want this person to be blind in one eye also, or the person he can accept what's called the diya, the blood money for it. And likewise for the other body parts too. If a person they injured some of the other body parts, then he can pay the diya for it also. And that's on the chapter of the jiniyat and the blood money. And what happens is it usually goes by the whole life blood money, which is 100 camels. 100 camels, and that's mentioned in the time of Prophet Muhammad. So if you have, like, for example, 2 body parts, then it's 50 camels. Like, for example, if you have 2 arms, right, it's 2 of them. So if one of them, he injured one of them, then it's half of the diya, which is 50 camels. If you have 10 fingers, for example, then it's a tenth of the diya if he injured one finger. And then also they mean the same thing about the hearing of the person lost the hearing, the eyesight if they lost, or even a tooth if the person they lost. So they have all those things on the blood money. They have it, which is called the diya. So they start out by that. And then the Sheikh, he said, from his, not just directly from him, but from his slave, So if his slave did it, then the owner of the slave is responsible to pay the diya, from his slave when his slave caused the harm. That's interesting why he mentioned that. So back then, in the time of Ibn Qudama, there used to be a lot of slaves. So maybe that's something that was very prevalent. So he made that the first thing that gets paid back, the blood money that they owe to another person that was caused by his slave. That's paid off first and foremost. Then goes to the next steps. And then read number 20.
It is given to the one that was physically harmed.
Yes, so that goes back on the previous point. The person harmed, then he owes him the blood money. He owes him the diya for it. So it's given to that person that he harmed. And read number 21.
The lesser of the value of the harm or the amount of blood money.
Yes. So that's what he says, the lesser of the value of the harm or the amount of the blood money. And this over here in slavery, what happens is if they killed a slave, for example, the slave is considered to be of monetary value. So what they have to do is they have to pay for that slave because they harmed them. When one slave killed another slave, for example, then he's got to pay the value of that slave, how much that slave is worth, or the blood money. The blood money is 100 camels. So the Sheikh is saying over here, if that happens, then they have to pay the lesser of the two. Either the value of the slave, if that's less, or the blood money, if that's less. The 100 camels, if that's less. If you have those two things on the slave, that's what happens. And maybe also the same deal the slave is worth some good money. No, because the thing is, the slave is looked at as a monetary value, like a possession that's worth money. So a slave is worth good money, and then somebody cuts his hand off, for example, then the slave is worth less. Then you see, like how much is the difference, and the person they got to pay, the amount of the difference, or they got to pay the 50 camels, the blood money for cutting a hand. So whichever one is the lesser of the two, they have to pay. That's what that means over there. Now that point. Okay, let's go to number 22.
Then given to those who have collateral with it.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
The lesser of the debt, the amount of the collateral.
Yes. So then this is talking about the person that's seized, that's bankrupt. Then what happens? He pays off the harm that he did to other people, that he owes for people from the blood money and doing that. Then the next step is, what happens is he might have put things up for collateral, put things up on mortgage or pawn. Then those are paid off, not to the people. They're given to the people that he put up the collateral to, either the amount of the debt that he owes them or the collateral that he put up. So like, for example, let's say a person, they went and borrowed money from somebody for a bicycle, right? And the person said, I'll loan you the money, but give me something that's collateral. And the person says, I'll put up this horse as collateral. So then if he does the bankruptcy, he's seized, then what happens? That person takes the priority. Either he gets the horse paid back, or the value of that bicycle. He gets one of those two. The horse is seized. If the horse is less than the bicycle, that's what he gets, because he put that up as a pawn, as a collateral. So that takes a priority. The ones that he put things up as collateral, put things up as a mortgage, things up as a pawn. Is that clear on that point, or should I try to explain it more, what it means by the collateral? What it means by the collateral, if a person, let's say they want to borrow money from somebody, and the person, they don't trust the person too much, so they put something up as collateral. So if you don't pay me back, then I'll take this item and sell it and get my money. Like, for example, houses, for example, right? If a person, they borrow money from somebody to buy a house, then the person says, put up this house as collateral. So then if you don't pay me back the house, then the house is sold, and then I get paid back the money from the house. That's how they do it nowadays in mortgages, in the houses. And they might do it on cars too. I think I talked to you about that last time, which is problematic. They say that, I'll loan you the money to buy a car, but this car is up as collateral. So if you don't pay back this money, we're going to take your car. We're going to repossess your car, then sell it, and then get paid back. And then that's what that refers to on the things like collateral. So that's the next person on priority, because what happens is this person, he had the ability to pay people back, but he refused to do it. So then he got imprisoned, and then the bankruptcy judge, he seized his property to pay it back to people. And so he first he has to pay back the people he did harm to, or his slave did harm to. Then the next thing is the ones that he had the collateral with. So he's got to give the collateral to the people that he owed money to, that he put up for collateral or pawn, on the people that he owed money to. That's the next step. Okay, is that clear on that? Okay, let's go to the next one.
Then those who find those specific things that were sold to him on credit.
Yes. So if the person, let's say he borrowed like a horse, and he owed somebody this horse, then what happens is when he gets the bankruptcy, he gets seized. Then let's say a person comes, this is my horse that I loaned to him. Then he just takes the horse, because that was his specific thing that he gave to the person as a debt, as a loan. So that's the next step after that. They get paid back the thing that he put up for pawn, and then the debtors are there, and they say, I loaned him this, I loaned him that, I loaned him, this is my thing I loaned for him. Then they're given back what they loaned to him specifically. That's the next step. That's the next thing that's distributed from the bankruptcy judge. Okay, then let's go to the next one.
That did not have an attached increase.
Yes. Okay, that did not have an attached increase. So what happens is, let's say a person they had a sheep, they borrowed a sheep from somebody. Then the person comes, and the sheep gave birth to a baby sheep. So that's what he's talking about. Then the person can take your sheep back, but then the increase from it is a different story. So that's what he's mentioned that as a point. Okay, you understand that point there? Number 25. Okay, let's go to 26.
And, and not take any of its price, he is entitled to take it.
Yes. So they gave a person a horse, for example, then what he does is he just takes his horse. That's the next priority. He doesn't take what the horse is worth, because the judge is distributing it to the people that he owes money to. So he just takes the specific things that they borrowed from the person, not the value of those things. Okay, let's go to number 27.
The saying of the Messenger of Allah, may Allah's blessing be upon him and peace, whoever finds his specific items with a person that was bankrupt has the most right to it than anyone else.
Yes. So that's the saying of Prophet Muhammad that's mentioned in the Hadith. Exactly that. If a person they're bankrupt and the bankruptcy judge goes to the person, and then somebody comes along, hey, that's my bicycle. I loaned him this bicycle, so he has the most right to that bicycle than anybody else. That's what Prophet Muhammad said. Okay, let's go to 28.
And distribute between the rest of the debt of the debtors on the extent of the debt.
Okay, so you do fulfill those things first. First thing was if he harmed somebody, and then he owes him the blood money, then he's got to pay that off. Then those people that he has a specific things that he took from, that borrowed from them, and those are given to them. Then you look at what's left of the things that he has, then that's distributed to the rest of the people that he owes money to. That's what it means by bankruptcy. Bankruptcy, a person, whatever they have, they pay back all the debtors what they have. That is distributed to them, the rest of the debtors after that, to the extent of the debt. So if you owed somebody, like for example, 5,000, you owed somebody else 1,000, then then that person that you owed 5,000, he would get 5 times more than the one that he owed 1,000 to the extent of the debt. That's what he's referring to. Okay, for the rest of the people that he owes money to. Okay, let's go to 29.
And spend on the bankruptcy and on those who is responsible for from his wealth from the distribution.
Yes. So one of the things is, if you look in the books of fiqh about the bankruptcy, you might have some things that is not given out from his possessions. And one of the things they say is, like, if a person, they have their own house, for example, then you don't take the person's house and you give it to the people, because he's got to live over there. And the person, if he has a job, he does work, and he has his tools that he does the work with, then he can't take his tools and pay off the debt. That's what's kept with him. So that's mentioned in the books of fiqh. So it's given to the people he owes money to, but also he keeps some of the things for his own well-being. And then also the people that he takes care of, they're given from his wealth also. It's not given all to the debtors. That's what that refers to. Okay, that's what it means. So that's an important point over there. And even over here in America, they have that law. If a person, they file for bankruptcy, they can still keep their car. They don't have to give up their car. And if they have a place where they live, normally speaking, that's not taken from the person when they do the bankruptcy. So they follow very similar to, And in fact, the law over here, it continues on from the Islamic law. And when we see law, when you study the law, you see there's a universal law that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made. So people, they study it and they go by it, inshallah. Sometimes they do it by trial and error. They'll see what is right, and then eventually they'll come up to the right answer. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created a human being, so He knows what the laws are. Okay, inshallah, let's go to number 30.
If he had the right to swear and he refused to swear, the creditors do not swear.
Yes. So this goes back to the beginning. The person, they come, and he has to swear that he's not able to pay. And then let's say that he doesn't swear that he's not able to pay. then the people that he owes money to, they don't have to make the swearing also. So normally speaking, the judge asks that person to swear that I'm unable to pay. It's very hard for me to pay back. I need more time to pay back. Then the people that he owes money to, then they make a swear. They say that no, he's able to pay it back. He's lying, and they make the swear. And then what happens is the people that he owes money to, they got to show proof that he's able to pay it back. Then they bring the proof. Then the judge goes by that. And then if it is proven that the person has the funds to pay back, he's just refusing to pay it back, then he's put it in the prison. That's what the Sheikh says. And then after that, to get out of the prison, he's got to make the effort to pay it back. And if he still doesn't, then the bankruptcy judge, he seizes the stuff he has and pays people back according to the bankruptcy. That's what the Sheikh said. Okay, inshallah. So this is the lesson over here. We follow, and you find nowadays they have the same thing in the bankruptcy. People, they can declare bankruptcy, and then what happens is they go to the court, and the court looks at all the possessions that they have, and they pay back, proportionally to the people that he owes money to, and then that's what they have also. That's very similar to the law that you have. That the Sheikh mentioned. Okay, inshallah. All right, inshallah. So stop over here. Do you have any questions or comments, Sheikh Omar?
You say, when somebody declares bankruptcy in Islamic law, or even the secular law, like law, the house and the car is exception, you say?
Yes, that's what's mentioned in the books of fiqh. Okay. They say they exempt a person's horse because he has to use that for his needs, and the house. That's what the Sheikh said. The things that the personally need for his own well-being, then that's not given to the people that he owes the money to, because he needs those things for his own survival.
Like essential stuff, like
yes, essential stuff. Yes, right. Yes, yes. That's there. That's also mentioned in the books of fiqh. That's the point that he mentioned, that also from the distribution that he gives out, also it's distributed for his needs and and his family's needs also. So they're given too from the wealth that he has, from the total wealth that he has. So the Sheikh mentioned. Inshallah. And then bear in mind that, unfortunately, I'll tell you from over here, there's some people that just don't pay back on the things, and that's very problematic, because Allah is very serious about it. And they'll be responsible on the day of judgment, the Yawm al-Qiyamah. If a person, they owe the debt to somebody. So a person, they shouldn't, the people that borrow money over here, they should be serious about paying it back when they borrow money, not take money from people and just refuse to pay them back and look at it as that is not right, and that is literally like stealing. Somebody, they purposely borrow money from people and they know they're not going to pay them back. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes that very seriously on the day of judgment. And then you have some cases where a person, they just fall into difficulties and they try their best. And in that case, Prophet Muhammad said that, let them come to him, to Prophet Muhammad. So those people might be excused. If a person, they borrow money and they're very serious about paying back, they know very well that they're going to pay it back. But then afterwards, what happens is a person, they fall into too much difficulty, too much hardship, and it's beyond the person's control. But they try their best to pay it back as much as they can, but just they can't. Then those people are excused. That's what happened. That's what Prophet Muhammad said. Okay, inshallah. All right, inshallah. We'll stop over here. Subhanallah wa bihamdi. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. I said anything from the knowledge, from the ilm, take it. Anything for myself, just disregard it. Allah knows best. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.